Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed that Manchester United agree a 60 million pound package deal for Mason Mount to finally secure him from Chelsea. Zach, you being the Chelsea lad, how are you feeling about this move?
At the end of the day, no player is bigger than the club. Mason Mount has made it adamantly clear for months that he has wanted to leave Chelsea. And honestly, as sad as it may be to see an academy graduate leave the club, if you want to leave the club, goodbye, see ya. It's time to go. And let's just be honest here. It's been time for this to happen for a long time. We've made multiple offers to try to reconcile here and get him back on board long term. He has denied, denied, and denied again. I am happy to finally see the saga over. I would say good luck, but you're going to Manchester United, so I hope you fall on your face and flop. That's just what it is. You're going to a Premier League rival. Ultimately, I wish the best for Mason Mount, but I do hope he flops at United. But I think that Manchester United did overpay here, and this is something they have a history of doing. Mason Mount has 1 year left on his contract, and they have just paid 60 million for him. And look, I don't even know if he's worth 60 million, even if he had 5 years on his contract, but much less with 1 year on his contract. I think Mason Mount is not worth that. And I think Manchester United overpaid. It's something that they always do. And I think that leads me into my point that this is fantastic business from Chelsea, coming off of what they've just done with Saudi and coming off of just getting 65 million from Arsenal for Kai Havertz. I have to commend this board and Todd Bowley for actually doing very well in this transfer window on outgoings. Getting 60 million from Mason Mount, a guy who has made it abundantly clear time and time again that he wants to leave the club. It's great. And ultimately, they wanted a little bit more, but I'm happy to settle for 60 million. I don't think he's worth that anyway. I think he's a solid player, but I don't think that he's going to really move the needle that much for United. I'm happy to take this 60 million plus the other money that we've gained from this transfer window and go after players that are going to move the needle for us and hopefully get us into the top four, which I've predicted that we will ultimately get because I think we are going to make the right moves in this transfer window. So ultimately, it is sad to see an academy graduate leave the club. He won us the Champions League along with Kai Havertz. His pass to Kai Havertz ultimately won us the Champions League. Obviously, those weren't the only two players that contributed to that, but you get what I'm getting at here. It's disappointing, but it's time. It has been time for a while, and now it's just officially confirmed. So it is what it is. I'm not too bothered about it ultimately. You know what I mean?
Look, I that's a little bit surprising just because I think it's a great move for United. I think they from the market today, how the market is for footballers of that age and that talent, I think it's a bargain. 60 million. I mean, look, he's 24 years old. We're talking about someone who's nowhere near his prime. Who knows how he could develop under Ten Hag? I think this Manchester United, what they have now, they're going to be able to pair him up with Casemiro. He's better than Mason Mount's better than Christian Eriksen. That's who they have right now. Is that an upgrade on Christian Eriksen? Yes, it is.
I agree.
So I see it's a great move for United. They're going to be able to pair him with Bruno Fernandes and have a little bit of that trio. And I think Mason Mount's I don't think he's a world-class player, but he's pretty class. Like he's pretty good. And I think he definitely has a ceiling that he still can hit at the age of 24. And it makes me almost question Chelsea of what's really the plan here? Because look, now they're so far away from that team that won the Champions League. I mean, I think they only have two or three players
left.
2 or 3 players left from that team that won it. So, I mean, who's going to be playing midfield for Chelsea next season?
Well, that's big question marks at the moment, but that's what we're going to fix now in the transfer window. Obviously, our plan has been this whole time to get rid of the players that have been wanting to leave the club, get rid of those players, get the money, and then focus on buying players. I expect us to make a move for Caicedo within the next 3-4 days, easily. Yeah, and then that solves one issue, and then we have more.
Even if you get Caicedo, let's just say, because even though that's still a hard signing to land, even to get Caicedo, you still need other guys. And is Caicedo that much of a upgrade from Mason Mount? Is he like completely levels above him? I'm not quite sure if he is. Yeah, they're very different players, but it's hard to okay, you get rid of Mason Mount and you're replacing him with Caicedo. I'm not sure how well that truly works. And from how Chelsea have been doing, look, I agree. I think a lot of these players have been, they have to get around like Kai Havertz. These guys had to go, but now the hard part is going to begin now, where you're going to have to replace these players and have to go sign these players, and that's what I see the problem going to be now. Out of the two right now, I think Manchester United are the better off on this side. I think Manchester United are going to benefit highly from getting a player like Mason Mount, a guy who's going to be able to develop and get better. Because I think Mason Mount still has his best seasons ahead of him, opposed to behind him.
Well, I think ultimately United. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and act like that Mason Mount was going to perform the same way that he did last season for Manchester United, because I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the player that we saw last season is truly definitive of who Mason Mount is, and I expect him to have a better season next season for United. But with that being said, everyone wants to act like Chelsea has no plan. Chelsea has no idea what they're doing, when in reality, I think we've done exactly what we needed to do, and we're sticking exactly to our plan. We've signed a bunch of young players, and ultimately our plan for this transfer window has been to get rid of the players who we don't need, our deadwood players and the players who don't believe in the project and want to leave the club. That's exactly what we've done. We've got rid of Kai Havertz. We've got rid of Koulibaly. We've got rid of Mason Mount. We've gotten rid of a lot of players. We got rid of Ruben Loftus-Cheek. We've gotten rid of a lot of players. We've recouped almost 220-something million in funds. Now we're going to be able to use that and fix the issues that we have. And I think, yes, you're right. That is the big question mark, because ultimately we've proven that we can be a good selling club, but can we be a good buying club? Ultimately, how many transfers have we really hit on recently? Not enough. That's what I'll say. I mean, we've probably failed on more transfers than we've not failed on, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
But maybe this is my delusion talking here, but I do believe that we are going to finally get it right. I think that this is finally the transfer window that we get it right. And look, obviously a lot remains to be seen on what's going to happen, but it's going to start off very well if we get Caicedo, because there's no way he's going to fail. We know exactly who Caicedo is. And then ultimately, our big glaring issue is what we're going to do with the number 9 position. And I can't tell you what we're going to do. I have no clue what we're going to do. But I do know that everyone knows it. The board knows it. The fans knows it. Everyone with a half-working brain knows that Chelsea needs to fix the number 9 situation. It's not going to be Nicholas Jackson. He's going to be the bench guy. It's obviously not going to be a guy like Lukaku, who we already have. We need to bring in somebody new. Everybody knows it. And it just depends on who it is. And I can't sit up here and act like I know what it's going to be. But I have faith that we are finally going to get it right. And, look, of course I'm going to have faith. But that's just how I feel. I genuinely think that this is finally the time we get it right. And because Pochettino is not going to let this be a disaster. I like what I've seen from Pochettino so far. He seems to have his say on what we do. And I like that, because I've said it time and time again. If you're a board and you're not contacting your manager and just having an open dialogue on transfers and who you want to bring into the club, you are destined to fail. Some clubs run like that. I look at PSG for an example. They do that. I like what I've seen so far. Ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't like the fact that people just sit up here and act like Chelsea doesn't know what they're doing, or that, Todd Bowley is just an idiot. He's getting rid of the best players. It's just not true. He's getting rid of the players that want to leave the club. He's getting good money for them. There is no other club in the world that would get 65 million for Kai Havertz and 60 million for Mason Mount. I firmly believe that. We are one of the best selling clubs in the world. We get very good money for players in bad situations. Kai Havertz, we knew.
Well, those are still young players. I mean, it's not impossible to sell them for the price that they
65 million for Kai Havertz. Nobody expected that. 60 million for a guy that has 1 year left on his contract that you could have got for free next summer. Nobody expected that. Don't kid yourself, G. You didn't even expect that.
I mean, look, this is
you did not expect that.
I wouldn't expect. No, I'm not saying I expected it, but I would never pay that amount for that player, because I just don't rate them that highly. But I'm looking at from on the aspect of what the market for players of that age and that caliber go for. That's what they go for. Look, this can almost go into a completely different.
That's very.
I mean, he's a young player and he plays well. I mean, Mason Mount's not a horrible player. I mean, we're talking about. We're talking about a guy.
I think Mason Mount is better than Kai Havertz, yes, but I'm more referring to. Look, I think I think we've done phenomenal on both sides, but kind of for different reasons. I mean, Mason Mount, we've done remarkable because I think he only had 1 year left. To get 60 million for a guy who has 1 year left and coming off of his worst season, you have to take that all day. And Kai Havertz, I just don't think he's good. So the fact that we got 65 million from a rival, I'm still in awe about that transfer. I love it to this day. I can't wait.
Well, it's still the point of it. Look, I don't have to sit here and agree. Oh, I 100% knew that Kai Havertz was going to go 65 million, but I'm not so crazy surprised just because he's still a young player. He has still a ceiling to. It's not like you're making it seem like you're flipping like 30-year-old, 35-year-old players for these odd amounts. These are still young players. It's not that difficult to sell, young players that have actually won at the highest level. These are two players that have Champions League medals in their cabinet. So I think it's not that hard to pitch that. It's be like, look what this guy has done. So that's not crazy. Like, oh, it's like savant business now. But the real question is, can Chelsea, like you said, can Chelsea sign the players that they need? Because now it's going to be I think it's a little harder to do that, especially since you don't have Champions League football. And right now, you can't guarantee that. Oh yeah, 100% next season we're going to get that back, because there's no guarantee. So that's what I'm more worried about. I'm looking at this Chelsea situation. I'm saying, well, who are they going to get to fill in these spots? They're getting rid of a lot of these players. I mean, you're basically replacing Kai Havertz with Nicholas Jackson right now. Because as there is right now, Nicholas Jackson's your best striker
as of today.
And I'm looking at the landscape of the market right now. I don't see that many class number 9s that are for sale right now. There's just not that many.
Well, yeah, look, I don't want to see us pay $200 million for Victor Osimhen.
No, well, you're not. Well, one, I don't think you would, and
I don't even go to fly to Naples if that's the case.
Yeah, 200 million for good luck, buddy. But like other than Victor Osimhen, who else?
And even the thing is with Osimhen, even him, I would not be 100%. I've said it before. I don't firmly believe that he is 100% guaranteed. The only player I said that 100% guaranteed would fix the situation is Harry Kane. It's not going to happen. So I don't want to see.
So now that you said that literally the only 100% is Harry Kane. Who else really is there? I mean, it's hard to pitch this entire idea that Chelsea will succeed when there's right now there's no picture of that guy that we're gonna get this guy. Like Caicedo makes sense. Like Caicedo is a real signing that could possibly happen, but he does not fix the number 9 issue. And realistically, right now, I don't think there's a player in world football that could fix that. That's not because no one's available.
If you want my hunch based on as of right now, just a total hunch, not really much to back up the claim, but I think I feel like Vlahovic will end up being our number 9 by the end of this transfer window. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think Juventus would be interested in selling him. And look, Juventus isn't in the best spot right now. I think they're playing Conference League next season. So going from Conference League to no European football, that's not really that big of a downgrade. I'm sure he wouldn't care. And I think it's realistic. Osimhen's not going to happen. Who else really is there to get?
Yeah, I mean, there's really nobody out there right
now.
So
the thing is, we can't wait. We can't wait a season. We can't wait. Let's wait till January to buy a 9. Let's wait till next summer. You can't do that. You have to look. Your options may be bad right now, but you have to pick somebody. You have to go put all your chips in the table and get somebody. And I think it's a interesting situation to be in because it could work, it could fail, but we have no choice. We've backed ourselves into this corner and we have no choice.
Yeah, because as much as I slag off Kai Havertz, he's better than Nicholas Jackson, man. I mean, let's not disrespect Kai Havertz that much. He's like that. That's a down
as a 9.
As a 9, yeah, he plays a 9 for Germany. Look, obviously, if he was that bad, he wouldn't be in that position for his country. I mean, he has some type of talent, and I think that's better than what Nicholas Jackson can offer. If Chelsea go into next season as Nicholas Jackson. I think I have a good idea. If Chelsea go through with Nicholas Jackson and they do all this, they get Caicedo, they're gonna find themselves right in the same position because Nicholas Jackson ain't getting you top 4. That's not a player you look to and say, you know what, that guy's gonna secure us top 4 here. Like there's a lot of question marks. We're just gonna have to see.
But we've talked obviously a lot about Chelsea and rightfully so, but I think we might have touched on everything that needed to be touched on as of right now. But let's touch a little bit on Manchester United before we get out of here. Obviously, I think we all expect them to be contending for the top 4 next season, or potentially guaranteed to almost be in the top 4 next season. What do you think this transfer is really doing for them?
I think it adds better depth, obviously, and I think it's a good little I think it's a safe signing because look, Mason Mount's young, like I said, he has his best seasons ahead of him, so I think we could at Mason Mount at age 27, we could be talking about a completely different player, a guy who's transformed. And Ten Hag is a great player manager. He's gonna I think Mason Mount's gonna flourish under Ten Hag. And I think he's gonna be really really good.
Well, look, I've said it that even before this deal, I expected Man United to be in the top 4 next season. Obviously, we haven't done our top 4 predictions yet because we want to wait for this transfer window to fully finish. But I would be shocked if Manchester United aren't in the top 4 next season. And I think this is, like you said, it's a good depth signing. Look, it's just not moving the needle for United to be contenders to win the Champions League or anything like that. But I think this pretty much they've improved today. I can say that. Do I think they overpaid for Mason Mount? Yes. But do I think that they also improved as a team today? Yes. I think both can be true. And I think this is a good signing for United. Not a great signing. And ultimately, they still might need to do a little bit more in the transfer window. But that remains to be seen. As of right now, I like what Man United is building. I do. I've raved about Ten Hag before. I think he's a great manager. And, if Mason Mount flourishes under Ten Hag, I would not be surprised because I think Ten Hag is very good at making players better. And I think ultimately Mason Mount will be better at United. Like I said before, I would be completely and utterly shocked if Mason Mount has a season as bad as he did last season, if that makes sense. I would be shocked because I think he is going to be better in a change of scenery and also with Ten Hag. So, I think it's a good signing for United. Him with Casemiro, I think it's going to be great. I think their midfield is going to be good.
That's a pretty good midfield too. I think that's
and obviously you
pretty
got
solid.
Bruno as well. I mean, that's
Yeah.
going to be very good. United are building something really good, but ultimately they have a very similar issue to Chelsea in the fact that they don't have a true number.
They don't have
They don't have a true nine, and like we've talked about before, how many options are really on the table? Not many. Harry Kane is not going to happen. Who else is there to get? You know what I mean?
Really right now that's the
Are
that's the problem.
are Man United pulling out 200 million for Victor Osimhen? Because I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Even if you had the 200 million, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, look, I think the only club in world football that would do something as idiotic as that is PSG. And I don't think it would work for them either. I mean, they're not going to win the Champions League. They could sign anybody, and they're not winning the Champions League. So
yeah,
what does it really matter? PSG, irrelevant club. I've said it time and time again. But ultimately, this is not a PSG video. This is Mason Mount United. So you're gonna have to let us know in the comments down below. Do you agree with anything that we've said? Do you disagree? Do you think United will be in the top 4 next season? What do you think Mason Mount will do for United? Let us know in the comments down below. I think slap a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more football content. But I think without further ado, we can get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
So I'm Zach.
I'm G.
And we'll see you next time for another video on the channel. Peace.